month, and the number of officers killed in this incident going up to 4 in just the past few hours tonight. Police in Charlotte coming under fire today by a suspect. He had a high-powered rifle. He was barricaded inside of a home, and that standoff lasting nearly 4 hours.
When I say damn, man. Damn, man. I'm a little discombobulated, guys. I wanted to get up much earlier and bring this story to you guys. I was working on another video that I'm gonna postpone. Maybe it'll come out tomorrow. I don't want to do 2 videos in one day. Who knows? But it's very late. But anyway, while working on that video, actually I was done with it and I was riding home last night, and I saw this, you know what I mean? And I haven't watched any of it, so this will be a live reaction. Even though this is an edited video, my reaction will be very live, because other than seeing it on the screen, I intentionally didn't watch any of it. I wanted to watch it with you guys. I don't know if you've heard about this, but at least 4 officers in North Carolina have died. They were shot, they were murdered, according to what the headlines are saying, and some others were injured. But again, besides seeing headlines, I intentionally haven't watched any of this. I'm going to be honest with you. Police are not human beings or human beings. We have laws. We have a justice system and a justice process to deal with criminals, no matter what sector we find them in. I don't think anybody has a right to murder another human being, and I don't think anybody deserves to be murdered. Unfortunately, these are the things that happen in this world. I am not condemning or convicting or indicting or even saying I know that someone is guilty of anything in this murder. I just know headlines are saying in North Carolina, a suspect shot at police and at least 4 of them are dead. Let's find out what happened together here.
Cheryl, yeah, it has been a very difficult month, and the number of officers killed in this incident going up to 4 in just the past few hours tonight. Police in Charlotte coming under fire today by a suspect. He had a high-powered rifle. He was barricaded inside of a home, and that standoff lasting nearly 4 hours. A somber procession tonight, hours after multiple police officers were shot in Charlotte, North Carolina. This after police say that a person that they were trying to arrest opened fire.
Shots fired at officer, possibly 1 down. Correction, 2 down. Subjects barricaded himself.
Helicopters on surveillance. Schools put on lockdown.
We were at the track and we could hear a lot of gunshots.
A massive law enforcement response in this area. Neighbors describing the mayhem as police took over their home.
They used one of our bedrooms to set up a U.S. Marshal sniper in just to get a point.
A total of 8 officers were shot during this tense ordeal. 3 members of the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force were killed. And late tonight, police announcing a 4th death of Charlotte Mecklenburg police officer Joshua Iyer.
We'll always be indebted to Officer Iyer for his bravery and his sacrifice for this profession.
Now, police say that the suspect was killed in the standoff after officers returned fire. That suspect was wanted for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon.
And a few other charges too, if print media is correct in the story I read. Wow. I already have a lot to say about this, man. But before I do a full deep dive, which I have no intentions of doing in this video, there's another video, man. Let's at least check out a little bit of that and see if there's anything we can get from that too.
Tyler, get in here! Get in the bathroom, Tyler!
Tragically, there were 3 members of the U.S. Marshals Task Force who were pronounced deceased.
I lived in this neighborhood for 10 years, never saw this, never thought it can even happen.
Every one of us wants to be in a situation where you get up this morning and get to come back home. And someone didn't today.
Tonight, tragedy and grief in Charlotte. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Rod Carter. 3 U.S. Marshals are dead tonight after a standoff and a shooting, and we learned just about an hour ago a 4th law enforcement officer has passed away. Charlotte Mecklenburg police officer Joshua Iyer was shot in the line of duty today and passed away from his injuries. He had been with the department for 6 years and just last month was named Officer of the Month. And within the past half hour, we learned the identities of two of the marshals killed today. Samuel Sam Pelosi and William Alden Elliott worked at the State Department of Adult Corrections and were assigned to the U.S. Marshals Carolina Regional Fugitive Task Force. Pelosi leaves behind a wife and two children, and Elliott leaves behind a wife and one child. CBS 17's Mariah Ellis has been monitoring the developments all evening for us and joins us now with the latest. Mariah.
Rod, it's been a sad day here in North Carolina and across the country as people mourn the deaths of those four members of law enforcement. We hear officers say all the time there's no such thing as a routine day on this job. Sadly, those deaths prove how true that is. Dozens of officers and first responders rushed to an East Charlotte neighborhood. A family living near Galway Drive watched the deadly day unfold, capturing the terrifying moment when they heard gunshots.
There's no doubt that our Charlotte community has experienced a tragedy today.
It was an emotional afternoon for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, recounting the violence that left 3 members of the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force dead. 5 others were injured, including 4 Charlotte police officers. Late Monday night, one of those officers, Joshua Iyer, who's been an officer with Charlotte for 6 years, died from his injuries.
We'll always be indebted to Officer Iyer for his bravery and his sacrifice for this profession. It was just last month I was in this very room congratulating Officer Iyer for becoming Officer of the Month.
I gotta be honest with y'all. I don't know whether to, say rest in peace and show condolences to these fallen officers, human beings, first, or say you never know what type of pressure a man is under. And I want to emphasize man, but that logic and that theory, thought pattern applies to every human being, man. I'm not in any way trying to justify anyone's actions, the officers, the law enforcement agencies involved in this situation, or the suspects, right? Because it's just horrible. And everybody's covering this. I'm going to give my very brief opinions. If depending on how this case unfolds, we may revisit this. But first and foremost, man, yes, man, condolences to these fallen people. I'm a Christian, right? So you can take the worst human being possible, and in them, I see the redemption that Christ had planned for them when he left heaven as God and embodied human form to be our rescuer, to build a bridge back to God. That was a grace extended to every man, woman, and child. Not our favorite people, not only those that we prefer. God intended that to be for every man, woman, and child. And as a professing Christian nation, it's appalling how often we as America and Americans forget that. So that is my logic, man. There are people I don't like, I don't prefer, I don't care for their life patterns, I don't care for their morals. It's a lot of things, but I don't wish those type of murderous thoughts on anyone. And I only wish for every man, woman, and child the redemption that God had planned for us. So that is my thought on that. And so that encompasses not only the 4 officers who lost their lives, but also the person, the young man. I did do a little research while listening to these videos. On the other side of that, he was 39 years old. I'm not going to get into specifics. Like I said, no deep dives here for me this time. So on both sides, it's very unfortunate. So I've extended my condolences to the officers, and I'm not prioritizing either or group because I mentioned them first. And then I extend my condolences also to this young man who lost his life in this situation, and his loved ones, because no matter how anybody feels about it, there are people who love the fallen on both sides. You know what I mean? And as an extended conversation, I think this would be a telescopic view. There are people who are going to see this young man, and let me go ahead and say his name. There are going to be people who see Terry Hughes Jr. He's a junior, so that should give you some indication of family ties there. I don't know who was involved or what family relationships he had, but he's a junior. So at least at birth and conception, that was, an idea of strong family ties. But there are definitely going to be people who see him as a hero too, man. You got to know that. You got to know that, right? You got to know that there are going to be people who see this man who spent his last moments on earth. And, I'm going to get into this, but just like the cops and the media and the government are going to tell their version of this story, be it true or otherwise, I don't know. I wasn't there. That's what we all need to, highlight in our own consciousness, our minds and moralities. We weren't there. We're going to navigate toward the side of the story that fits our biases. Most of us, a few of us are going to step back and be, graciously objective, the way that we would want for us or our loved ones. But anyway, just like the government, law enforcement agencies, and the sympathizers on those sides, that side, the apologists on that side are going to tell their version of the story. And I'm not saying they would be lying or telling the truth. Terry's people, they're going to tell their side too. They're going to tell their version. Everybody's going to have their version, guys. And unless we were there and unless they have clear-cut evidence that they're willing to show the public, not manipulated evidence and documents, and then that stitched together by police statements that we're just supposed to take at face value, unless they have that, how will we ever really know what happened here? Not, once again, justifying anything that happened or anyone's actions. Some people don't even know Terry as Terry. While they obviously do know him as that, they have lifelong relationships. Like most of us, we have nicknames and things like that. I'm just trying to show that even though there will be a picture painted of this guy who went to war with cops in North Carolina, federal agents and things, allegedly, reportedly, over felon with a firearm rap, some people will see this guy as a hero. And in the eyes of many, that will be elevated by the number of officers that he took down in his death. Let me talk about what happened here a little bit, man, that we know. The reports, and I have to say, because I told you guys, I didn't watch any coverage of this at all. What you just saw, if you watched this video, you and I, we saw it at the same time. All of it, every cent of it. The only thing that maybe you didn't see while this video was going on that I did is I did a little background research to find out who the gentleman was on the other side of the shooting that lost his life. Where 4 cops lost their lives, and I think 8 others were injured. I may be wrong on that number, don't quote me, but some others were injured. So that's the only thing that you didn't get. I got a little bit background information on him if you didn't also research that while the video was playing. But we haven't heard anything from his side, from Terry's side. That matters. I know the way our minds are conditioned. I mention this often. I don't mean to offend anyone. When a woman and a man is in a situation, we often navigate towards the woman's side when we absolutely don't know what's going on, especially if it's a woman that we have any affiliation with. And sometimes we could even know the woman is guilty. Most of us as adults, we've seen cases like this. And then, for whatever reason, public perception, personal perception still navigates. We are programmed with an innate sympathy for women. That's just the bottom line. And so many Americans, a growing number are switching sides, but many Americans feel the same way about our government and our cops. They just have this blind patriotic pride. Law enforcement agencies, not just cops. Same bird, different nest, but I've seen them be confused. Some people think all law enforcement agents aren't cops. I tend to think they are. Same bird, different nest. They just have this blind patriotic commitment to them, even when they can clearly see that they're guilty. And so we haven't heard from that side. All we've heard is that is all we've heard from. We haven't heard from the side that may be absolute cop detractors and government detractors, or once again, just may want to offer a gracious and honestly objective view here. And that's all I want to do. I would love to know how we lawfully arrived at the point where this man was even convicted. Once again, nothing I'm about to say is justification for his actions or the cops' actions, and it's not a cosign of any life that was lost this day in North Carolina. But just because someone is arrested or even convicted in America, we've seen multiple cases where the facts say that doesn't mean they're even guilty. So for me, I'm just a facts person. I would love to know how we got to the point where this guy was even a convicted felon and convicted at all of what crime. Because that's one main reason we're here today. It's being reported that they were there to arrest him. CNN says he also had some felony fleeing and eluding charges, but the big deal was a felon with the firearm charge. So number one, I'm not saying it wasn't or it was, but I would just like to know if those charges and that charge was valid. Because if it wasn't, now you have not only criminalized my existence, you've also taken away my right to protect myself and now you're coming to arrest me for it unlawfully. And now we have a different scenario than just the cops going to arrest a criminal with a criminal background and then him murdering senselessly 4 officers. Now you have a scenario where the American government has robbed an American citizen, a free American citizen, of his right to protect themselves. They have criminalized his life. Like I said, I'm not going to go into a deep dive, but there's a lot that comes with that as far as trying to get jobs, as far as trying to get into certain other areas of life where you won't be able to because you have these crimes and these charges on your records. And now not only did you do that to me, like these stories, we continually, it's a never-ending cycle of people doing 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years in prison. Some have even been murdered by America's government. And then we later find out they were absolutely innocent. Some cases, they'll throw some money at them. Some cases, they give them nothing at all. Just feed them to the streets. I'm going back to the facts. What if he was an American citizen whose rights, whose free American rights had been robbed from him, and then the government continued to attack him by trying to arrest him for not bowing to their unlawful orders, laws, and practices? What is that? What if you knew that before you just automatically migrated toward this version of the story being told that the cops were there to lawfully carry out their duties? Now, once again, I have to reiterate this because people are going to hear it and say, you're crazy. He very well could have been a lifelong criminal that had made up in his mind, like this other murderer. This is my second time telling this story, so I got to look it up so I can give you guys the detail. But this guy killed a cop in a drug-induced rage, and he's admitting every detail of it and saying, hey, man, I deserve the death penalty. I already detailed that story, I think, in mass murder in Chicago, one of my last videos. Please go check that out. The government is literally killing people. And as one of the broadcast journalists so eloquently and accurately put it, they're not always using guns, cops, you know what I mean? Sometimes they're using paramedics and needles, you know what I mean, to shoot American citizens up with drugs, just to, air quotes, calm them down. But let me get back to the topic, man. This guy could have been a lifelong criminal, man. The cops could have been there. He could have committed his life, like this gentleman I just mentioned, to saying, no matter what, I'm not going back to jail. When they come, I'm going out with a blaze. There are people who feel like that. These cops could have died senselessly and innocently. I just want to reiterate, maybe you know which version of the story is true at this point. I don't. So I'm not convicting or condemning anybody, because if cops are there to do their damn job, I don't like the institution of policing. That's why I police. That's why I cop watch. That's why I support and cop watchers and police watchers and police policers. That's why I support people who hold the American government on all levels accountable. Respectfully do that. And if sometimes you have to rebel righteously and lawfully against their unlawful orders and commands, then I support that too. I don't support murder. I don't support people getting killed just because they're trying to do the job that they are on, that they took so they can live a successful and a normal life in America and feed their families and just be a person in the country that we all appreciate and sometimes have problems with or irritated by. But we're just trying to be human in America. I'm not bothering nobody. I just got up to go to work. I just happen to be a cop. You are a carpenter, right? I just happen to be a potter. You're a priest. But we're just doing what we do, where we find ourselves in life to feed our family. I don't have a problem with people like that. I don't give a damn if they are police. Well, remember, I don't like the institution of policing because it has an American history of proving that it is nothing but criminal and inhumane. But individual officers are individuals, and that's how I approach them. And they shouldn't be murdered if they're just doing their job. On the other hand, like I already stated and belabored, if I don't know that this man was an American, one of the many Americans that the American government has kidnapped, robbed of their free liberties, and continue to stalk and attack, if I don't know this, then I can't condemn this man either. Because I could see myself, like many others, he wouldn't be the first in American history, in world history, who refused to continue bowing to the government. I could see myself. Fortunately, I've never been in that circumstance, and I pray to God I never will be. That's a tight place to be in. But if it came to that, I could see myself going down as a true, if there's such thing as an American patriot, I could see myself going down as a true American patriot, fighting back, warring back against a terrorist American government. Because terrorism be it domestic or otherwise, is unlawful. And every free human being created in God's image has a God-given, forget country and state and citizenship, a God-given right to defend his human liberties. Once again, let me summarize. First and foremost, this is unfortunate for every single life that was lost. In my opinion, I'm only giving you mine here. If this video goes out and you hear it, I am open to hearing yours. One gentleman said, hey, this is how I feel. I said, thank you for watching the video and thank you for sharing that. He came back this morning and he said, hey, I hope you didn't take that the wrong way, man. Sometimes people interpret, my thoughts is rude and how I express them is rude, but I'm never intending to come off like that. So if you took it that way, I apologize, and that's not what I meant. And I drafted up like 3 responses to him because I struggled to communicate to him that I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm very direct and straightforward too, and people often mishear that. Like they overhear what I'm saying because they're more focused on hearing what they're hearing. But I'm not only direct. Forgive me if this sounds a little pretentious. I think I'm also articulate. So I think if you just stop and listen to what I'm saying, whether you agree or disagree with it, it's going to be very difficult to be confused about what I'm communicating. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you get lost on the pathway of trying to understand what I'm saying, I graciously suggest. Now, it may be that I need to communicate better, and I'm open to hearing that critique and that advice and those suggestions. But I will kindly and, like I said, graciously suggest it may be because instead of listening to me, you're overhearing, more focused on your interpretation of what was said and how it either offends you or, incites passions in you that you enjoy. But I don't want to do any of that. Like I said, I want to have a balanced, objective conversation. And I can't reiterate enough with that this is just a very unfortunate set of events, man, and it will echo through ages of life and humanity until Christ comes, because those men had family, they had loved ones on both sides, you know what I mean? And so, secondly, I want to reiterate again that since I personally don't know what happened, I can't convict or condemn or exonerate anybody involved. I can just extend my heart and genuine compassion and grief for everyone that is and will be affected, including those who lost their lives, because that's what I would want if it were me and my people. And thirdly, guys, I just would ask you to review life that way. You know what I mean? I can't tell you what to do. We're all grown. But I think we would be able to be a more compassionate people and get through issues without having to murder each other and, just treat each other like we all aren't created in God's image. If we would just view life from a gracious and honest and objective vantage point, man, if we weren't so quick to migrate toward our biases, man. Me included. I'm not preaching a sermon here. I'm reflecting on conversations I often have with myself. So continue to pray for these people, man. Continue to pray for North Carolina. Everybody, again, is covering this. This will send shockwaves throughout America. Again, no matter how either side or anyone feels about it, there will be segments of our country that see either or side as a hero, right? There will be. Some people, once again, will see Terry as a hero, absolute hero. That's how you want to go out, man. 4 cops, we good. I mean, they're celebrating him right now. Right, wrong, or indifferent, right? And then, obviously, there are people who will see these cops as heroes, man. Obviously, the choice is yours. I won't share my personal opinion, even though I think I already have. I see them as human beings created in God's image, and I hope that they all knew Christ in saving grace. Y'all be safe. I'm out.
Every one of us wants to be in a situation where you get up this morning and get to come back home. And someone didn't today.
A few someones, Mama. Terry, Joshua, Sam, and Alden. It's crazy. I was thinking, if the cops came to you and said they wanted to use your home, your house, your residence where your wife, your children, your loved ones were at, as a sniper setup zone because 4 officers had been shot and others had been injured, what would you do? Tell them okay? Or tell them no?
Listen, we just wanted to talk to you. I don't know if you're aware of what occurred down the street from you. We're not here playing games. Okay, we're just trying to investigate a shooting that occurred where a police officer was shot.
I understand that, sir. Okay. It'd be better, appropriate if it was a great time.
I get
The
that.
timing sucks.
The essence here, okay? The faster we find out stuff, we might gather a lead that could lead us to these guys, okay? We're trying to get these people before they take off, and you know what I mean?
We would be doing the same thing. Say it was a family member of yours who just got shot.
Exactly.
We'd be doing the same thing, man.
You know, it'd be better you guys come back during the daytime. It just seems mad weird. And I'm awake. Listen, it's nothing to do with any one of you guys. Yeah. I'm awake. I'm pretty sure I'm not functioning right now.
Yeah, we're gonna just bang
so
the windows, dude.
Do whatever you want.
Okay.
You can do whatever you want, sir. I'm trying to tell you, I'm not letting you inside my home right now. It's late. It's nighttime. I just looked outside. There's no sun. There's no light.
Hey, that's fine.
All right. Have a great night.
Take care, man.
Have a great night.
Bang on the door so I guess I'll hold somebody up.
That's perfect. That's perfectly fine. There's security cameras set up too, by the way. You guys can't have happens to that. All right. Time out. 1 sec. I'm gonna ask you to leave my property, sir. So I'm gonna actually leave my property. I'm gonna call the cops. I'm gonna ask you to leave my property. I'm gonna call Bartow Police Department. I don't care who you're from. I don't care about you and your cops being. I don't like you guys. You guys keep coming and bothering me. Please remove yourself from my property. There's no one here. No one's gonna talk to you. No one's gonna speak to you. Okay. Of course. Whenever you want.
Once again, man, we're not trying to jam you up here, okay? You can call Barnstable PD. We're actually in there.
That's perfect. I'm just gonna take the steps for when I'm actually suing you guys. I have a reason why I'm suing you guys. I don't care about you and yours, bro. You don't care about me and mine. I don't give a about you and yours.
Why does it have to go there, sir? Nobody's done that, okay?
Hello? I have some things to say about how this video ties into today's story, if it isn't obvious, but I'll say that for later. Thank you if you made it this far. If you liked the video, feel free to hit that thumbs up button. I greatly appreciate it. If you care to go a little further than that, maybe even subscribe, hit the notification bell. Check out a few of the other videos on the channel. Either way, y'all be safe.